Gon' kick it off then. Whoa. Gon' kick it off then. It ain't a game, kick it off then. Whoa. So gon' kick it off then. Huh? What we talking about, it goes deep.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the new year and a new episode of WTF Too, Women Talk Football 2, right here on ESPN the network. I'm Latasha Miles, aka Joan Madden, the Gridiron Goddess, and I am accompanied by my talented, intelligent, beautiful, and amazing co-host. Let the good people know who you are.
What's up, good people? It's your one and only Touchdown Tomboy. How is everybody doing today? We ready? Ooh, we at the end now, girl. We got one more week, and then the playoffs are here.
That's crazy how fast this season went by. And speaking of it, yeah, it's unbelievable. Blink of an eye. And as you alluded to, yeah, here we are, 2022. And on Wednesday, 2/22, the Washington football team is set to unveil their new logo and mascot. I'm hearing it's the Admirals.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing too.
Yeah, that's what you're hearing too. And in the midst of them changing up their new mascot and their logo, I think it's time that they also fix FedEx Field. Why y'all making all these changes? I mean, ask Jalen Hurts. This is ridiculous how much of a bad shape that the FedEx Field is in, and maybe even try to move it back to DC while you're going through all these changes too. Jim Harbaugh entertaining the possibility of coming back to the NFL and back to the West Side, this time in Las Vegas instead of San Francisco. Steelers coach Mike Tomlin becomes the first coach in NFL history to have a winning season in all 15 years of his tenure during Ben's last ride at Heinz Field on Monday night. Is this the Sunday? Is this the end of the Pete Carroll, Russell Wilson collaboration coming up this week as well? We're keeping an eye out on that. And rest in paradise to former head coach Dan Reeves, and also another death in the Broncos family with former defensive coordinator Greg Robinson, who was responsible for some Super Bowl titles as well. And just wow, another death hit in Broncos Nation. Demaryius Thomas, Dan Reeves ties, and now Greg Robinson. My goodness. So let's dive into the first quarter here. Another interesting and tumultuous week for wide receiver Antonio Brown. The Meadowlands exit heard round the world last Sunday. So much speculation as to what led to his dramatic exit. So many thoughts and things to say. So, hey, let's get in on the action too. Touchdown Tomboy, what do you make of this ordeal? What's up with Antonio Brown?
So here's the thing, and I sent you some video clips of a TikTok from one of my friends who was actually at the game, and you could see Bruce Arians at the bottom of that TikTok, and he was basically looking like he was trying to go and talk to AB. So I based upon what I saw in that video, if you're not guilty, then why are you trying to hunt him down and talk to him? Now, of course, they're going to make, because just the history of AB and all the things that AB has done, then of course he's always going to look like he's the guilty party. But AB did win his grievance in New England. So we came to find out that what he said was actually factual in New England. And so, based upon what I saw in the TikTok video from one of my friends that I know that went to that game, and based upon what I think, and they were just furious. I think it was one of those things where it was Bruce Arians was already frustrated because they were losing to the Jets. And then him and AB got into it on the sideline. And then in the heat of the moment, he told AB, well, if you don't want to do it, you can go. But it's like when you tell AB something, he's going to oblige usually. And he's going to take it further than it should go. And then he's going to say, okay. And that's what he did. And I think that it was something that just went too far. It wasn't supposed to go that far, but it did. And unfortunately, I think that what AB said really did happen. And it just went too far, too fast. And because AB is a hothead, then, it went to the point of no return. And of course, now, the Bucks are going to try to save face and say, well, it is what it is. And the fact that nobody really wants to discuss what happened and how it went down, then to me, that further alludes to the fact that what he's saying happened did really actually happen. And so, unfortunately, I don't think that the Bucks are in a position with all of the players that they're already down. I think that they're not really in a position to go without AB, but they will, simply because that's just what they do. And I think this is just the beginning of the end of the Buccaneers. I don't see them making a long run just because of all the injuries and now all of this drama on top of that. I just don't see them going far. I just don't see them. I think they'll make the playoffs and everything, but I don't see them going far in the playoffs just because of all the drama that's eluding them and all the injuries, especially with Godwin and all of that stuff. And so I definitely believe that what AB said happened really did happen based upon the evidence that I got and the things that I saw. I think it went down exactly how he said it did. Now, was AB a little dramatic about it? Absolutely. But you know, he handled it the way he felt he should handle it. And it just is what it is. I think a lot of that happened out of frustration because emotions are high, like I said. And I do believe that it was just all of it happened out of emotionalism, and it went too far, too fast, and it went to the point of no return. And I do believe that what he said happened did really happen.
Yeah, this is unfortunately familiar territory. AB is so talented, and it's like his antics are always overshadowing his capabilities and what he can and has been able to do statistically. At this point, I'm just really over it. And I agree with you. I believe AB was right. Plus, the reports have come out that AB's ankle was a lot more injured. Like, he shouldn't have even been playing at all in that game. And for Bruce Arians, according to reports, to had tried to force AB to go out there, that was jeopardizing his health. And that's not fair and that's not right to AB. But at the end of the day, we're talking about a guy who has single-handedly ruined 4 franchises. And I think, like, even though as right as AB is on this and as bad as Bruce Arians looks, like you said, people are going to just keep pinpoint on the fact that this is not the first slap on the wrist for AB, nor is it the first time with him. He's done this with several teams. And I think the thing that bothers me so much, everybody's like, oh, AB needs some help. AB has CTE. Whatever the case may be there, if AB needs this much help, no matter what we want and what we think and what we feel like he should do, he has to take those steps to get that help. Maybe this man don't feel like he need help. Maybe he's got pride, or maybe he feels like, nah, these people are wrong. Y'all blowing it out of proportion because of my history. But for whatever reason, AB is not going to get this help that we all think that he needs. But the thing that bothers me so much about this situation, in addition to Bruce Arians seeming like he's the pariah here, like, if this man ain't healthy, he's telling you he's not healthy, you have to take him for his word on that. I mean, he's the only one with him 24/7. So I understand AB's dramatic, but if he's telling you he's in pain and his ankle ain't right, you got to honor that. And then you evaluate later and you find out from there, but don't force him otherwise. But on the other side of that spectrum, I'm really so bothered that you're a guy who's got millions of dollars. You've graced the cover of Madden. You're a Super Bowl champion. You have millions of dollars. And you're playing with arguably the best quarterback in our lifetime. And the way Tom Brady has gone to bat for him, Bruce Arians did not want AB on the team anyway, because of everything that happened with Oakland, because of everything that happened with New England, all the domestic situation, the police being involved in the house, being involved at the house and stuff. And for Tom Brady to unselfishly, and I'm not the biggest Tom Brady fan at all because of all of the cheating stuff, but character-wise, like off the field and how Tom Brady has been a leader, for him to stick his neck out for you constantly, and this is the thanks that he gets, like that you decide to just take your pads off, throw your equipment up into the field. I thought that was really disrespectful, more so to Tom Brady, no matter how mad you are. I didn't like the way, because again, we're talking about the Tom Brady who has put his neck out in the line when Bruce Arians didn't even want to give you a chance. Bruce Arians already being familiar with you at the Pittsburgh Steelers, the first time that y'all were together when he was the offensive coordinator. So I really thought that he violated and disrespected Tom Brady a lot here. Oh, even to the point where Tom Brady, after everything, after you showed your natural black tail, Tom Brady even still spoke highly of you in the post-game conference, tell people like, look, don't be so quick to judge. Let's show this man some compassion. Let's show this man some love. Tom Brady still did that. I don't know. That's the part that's really, really bothering me so much more than anything. And again, it's hard for me to say that because I'm not the biggest Tom Brady fan. But I believe Bruce Arians is wrong if he tried with him forcing you. And I love the fact that, see, what's crazy is Bruce Arians talked all that junk about, oh, we're going to release AB. yeah, you probably can't because, like you said, the injuries to Godwin, the injuries to Fournette, you're trying to make a playoff run. But also the NFLPA is probably going to get involved with this because they're evaluating if you really did try to force him into this situation with his injury. So Bruce Arians might get in a lot of trouble with this as well. But at the end of the day, I'm over AB. I like, even if he is right, like, I'm just tired of it. Like, Steelers, Patriots, Raiders, and now the Bucks. This is just habitual. And I'm over it. Like, I don't think he deserves any more chances, even if he is right on this. But also, I think some ramifications need to come down with Bruce Arians. But the one person we really all need to talk to and hear from, I wish Mike Evans would open up on this because he was like the last person that AB talked to before the blow up. And Mike Evans got all the tea right here, but he's being mum's the word. But Mike Evans, after you retire, whatever, if you want to do like a little tell-all book, a little segment, a little tour on this, we would greatly appreciate it because we know you got some action on this one. All right, moving on to the second quarter, sticking here with talking about the playoff run here and some more big news. Derrick Henry, he's been designated for return from IR as the former Heisman winner just turned 28 years old as well on January 4th. So this is a great birthday present for him with this timing. Yet in the meantime, the Titans, during his absence, they've gone on to have an 11-5 record and currently hold the #1 spot in the AFC, which is very impressive. Now, granted, they had some help from Cincinnati, who beat the Chiefs last week and helped them garner that #1 spot, but not to take anything from them. T-Square, how did the Titans manage to get to this spot despite the fact that Derrick Henry has been sidelined?
So here's the thing. The one thing that I love about Tennessee, and I tell you this all the time, and I've told you this several times, is that I am a huge fan of Mike Vrabel. Just what he's done. First of all, he has made them so that the one thing that I like about the Titans is the Titans do not allow teams to score a lot of points defensively. And so that's one of the things that I like about them. So he's been able to figure out how to defensively hold teams to not scoring a ton of points, right? And so I think that's been point number one. Point number two is that he's made wonderful adjustments in the second half. Like some of the things that I've seen Mike Vrabel do in terms of adjustments in the second half when they are getting basically pummeled by teams, and the way that he's figured it out, how to play the game. He's just been like a mastermind in the second half adjustment. So he's been excellent in that. And then the other thing that I really, really have to commend them for is that even though their offensive line is probably pretty bad, okay, they figured out how to help Ryan Tannehill release the ball, do quick releases so he can get the ball out of his hands fairly quickly. And if not, then they're doing a little bit more double teaming on the offensive line. So it's giving them a little bit more time behind so he can get, and then it always helped that they got AJ Brown back. I mean, because they needed him, and he came back. His first game back was San Francisco, and he's been playing lights out since he come back. So for me, I think it's been they've made a lot of adjustments. It's been that their defense has been very, very good, and AJ Brown has stepped up a lot or whatever, and they've been having to be able to get the ball out quickly on release, and I think that's a lot to do with their success. So even though they haven't had Derrick Henry and they haven't been able to run the ball as much, they figured out how to win without him, and that's what makes a team, and that's why they were my pick at the beginning of the year when I told you this, because I was looking at them and I was saying, I like what Mike Vrabel does as a coach. And so to me, it all comes down to coaching. Those adjustments all come down to coaching. I really, really like what they're doing. And I'm really, really excited about the Tennessee Titans. They were my pick at the beginning of the year. I'm going with them again. I told you they were my pick going into the playoffs. And I just like what they're doing. They just find consistent ways to win every week. And I think that's why they're able to do it even without Derrick Henry, because they got a good coach in Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, this is actually a good sign for Belichick because he hasn't had a whole lot of successful coaches come off of his tree branch there. So this is a good bonus there for for Belichick. And who knows, maybe we'll see the two face each other, student versus pupil, in the playoffs. And this, of course, what Tennessee has done. This is a prime example of why I never buy into when a guy's injured, that's a wrap. I've always been very much a next man up. And because I feel like this is how legacy created. This is how legacies get started. Happened for Tom Brady when when Drew Bledsoe went down. Ben Roethlisberger when Tommy Maddox got hurt. Even Dak Prescott when Tony Romo had his struggles. Like, this is how legacies are created. Next man up. Are you gonna bend, or you gonna make some moves? What you gonna do? And Tennessee has been a prime example of executing that successfully. I like the fact though that even though Henry's been out, like, Vrabel never went away from the identity of, like, we're still gonna run the ball. Like, we're not gonna do nothing cute or be creative. We still gonna run the ball. We're not gonna go away from that with our identity. And of course, it took a tandem to do so, but Dante Foreman and Dontrell Hilliard, they've still done an amazing job at keeping the running game afloat. Now, when Derrick Henry went down, Tennessee was in 4th place as far as running. I think they're in 6th now. So that's not really a fall from grace there. They've still been keeping it afloat. They've been averaging 5.2 yards a carry, and I'll take that. If my running back give me 5 yards a carry, I'll take that, and twice on Sundays. So yeah, Tennessee they've really done an excellent job of sticking to the plan and still being able to execute it and staying committed to the run. Now, his injury did not scare or steer them away from that either, to where they didn't go in a panic mode. They're still like, nope, until you stop us. Nope, this is what we're going to do. And even if you do stop us, we're just going to have to figure out other ways to still run the ball. But again, this is our approach. This is what we do. We smash mouth. This is our identity. You're not taking this away from us, even though our star running back has been sidelined. So I appreciate Mike Vrabel for sticking to his guns and sticking to that methodology. Also, they've been doing this in the midst of, we haven't seen the Julio Jones that we saw in Atlanta. Either he's been hurt, he's just been a ghost of his former self, or there's been other playmakers to step up. So the fact that they've still been doing this without the strong, dominant Julio Jones that we know, that's impressive as well. Now, of course, it's like, I don't know, it's something about Tannehill, like, in agreeing with you, like you said, Tennessee was a big time pick for me in the AFC too, especially because they got AJ Jones. But I was always scared of Ryan Tannehill. I just don't always trust him, and especially week 1 when he got sacked 6 times by Chandler Jones. Chandler Jones got 6 sacks alone on him. So I was really, really worried for Ryan Tannehill in Tennessee when Henry went down. But the offensive line, they picked up some of the slack, better in run blocking. But still, they've been holding the fort down as some unsung heroes, doing pretty good job on run blocking up the front to still keep that running game afloat. So I think, they deserve some credit as well. And the timing of this is really great, that Tennessee is holding that number 1 spot, and you're about to get Derrick Henry back, plus you get a bye week. So if you don't necessarily want to rush him this week, because you're really not playing for anything except to secure that number 1 spot. You're not trying to earn anything. You're just trying to keep it. So you're not playing from behind. You're just trying to maintain. So you really don't have to have Henry right now. And plus, if you keep that number 1 seed, that also gives him another week to get healed, to get rest. And then you kind of go in the playoffs at full strength. So congratulations to Tennessee in doing so. And like you said, Mike Vrabel being a big part of implementing great strategies with that, and being the smart coach that we know that he had the capabilities of doing. So good stuff, Tennessee, and making sure that your team did not falter despite your key running back going down with injury. All right, T Square, what you got for us with the halftime presentation?
All right, so last week we went over the whole thing with and paid homage to the late great John Madden. And so this week, of course, I got to go back, because I got to finish what it started. Now I got to finish what it started. Okay, I got 2 weeks left to do it. So we're gonna start with team number 20. So I gave you the first 20 teams. So now we're gonna start with the 21st team. The 21st team in the NFL was the Denver Broncos. Okay, and they basically got their name from a name that they got their name from a fan, which was a name the team contest or whatever. And their name came because of the toughness, and their area in which Denver is that they were known for having a lot of wild Broncos there. And so who knew, right? So that's how they came up with their name, the Denver Broncos. Okay, the 22nd team was the Minnesota Vikings. the Minnesota Vikings were said, they were given the name the Vikings by their GM at the time. And it says that they were aggressive people with a will to win, and also honored their Nordic traditions, because, you know, the Minnesota is out in the Midwest. So that was the whole Nordic traditions of, you know, like the snowy, mountainy, rocky terrain. And so that's how they came up with the Minnesota Vikings. And one other side note is that they were the first team to actually be named after a region and not the actual city. So they were named after their state as opposed to like the city that they were in.
Right.
Okay. And then the 23rd team, which happened to be in 1960, was named by a school teacher. And that team was the Atlanta Falcons. And they were described as a Falcon. She said that she picked the Falcons because the Falcons were a proud and dignified bird with great courage to fight. And she said that a falcon never drops its prey and is deadly and has great sporting tradition. And so that's how the Falcons came up with their name. And that was by named the fan contest and a school teacher. She said never drops his prey. Well, I don't know about that one, but anywho, anywho, because they dropped that Super Bowl bad.
Okay.
But I digress. So the 24th team in 1966 was the Miami Dolphins. And the reason why they were named the Miami Dolphins was because, and believe it or not, there were 600 people that came up with this name in this Name the Fan contest. 600 people came up with the Miami Dolphins. And they said that they came up with this name because they were the smartest, fastest creatures of the sea. And that's how they came up with it. And it makes sense because they're water. It's a lot of dolphins up down there. And so that makes a lot of sense. Okay.
Absolutely.
And then team number 25. And then one side note is in 1968 was the first the first Super Bowl where the AFL, the NFL, and the AFL championship game was the first Super Bowl. And that was in 1968. And team number 25 was the New Orleans Saints. And the reason why they were called the New Orleans Saints was in 1967 on November 1st. It was All Saints Day. And they chose this name based on when the Saints Go Marching In song.
It makes sense.
Because they would play this song. It was a popular song by jazz bands down there. Right. They would play when the Saints go marching in, and that's how they came to be the New Orleans Saints, which makes sense. If you know anything about New Orleans and the bottom and the bayou, this makes sense that they play stuff like that. And so it was a popular song there. And it was named after they have an All Saints Day that's in November, apparently, or used to be in November. And so they decided to call them the New Orleans Saints because that was also a famous song down there that they played a lot of jazz bands played. Team number 26, which was developed in 1968, was the Cincinnati Bengals. They were named, they played in Cincinnati. So they were named to honor a team that played in Cincinnati from the 1937 to 1941. The interesting thing about this is that even though they were the Cincinnati Bengals, and their name came out of paying homage to another team that played in that area, but then that team basically dissolved. So then they came back and they allowed themselves to be the Cincinnati Bengals again to pay homage to that team. Now, but the fans actually wanted them to be the Cincinnati Buckeyes. But of course, they already had the Ohio State Buckeyes, so they didn't allow that to be. So they stayed with the Bengals. And then team number 27 was the Seattle Seahawks, and the GM, John Thompson, suggested that the name, the Seahawks, suggested a aggressiveness, and it reflects the Northwest heritage, and no other team had that name. And so they had other names that they were interested in doing, but no other team had that name. And so that's why they went ahead and went with the Seahawks, because of the aggressiveness, and it paid homage to, reflects the Northwest culture or the heritage of the Northern West or whatever. So those are the two. That's up. We're up to team 27, and I'll give you the last few teams next week. Okay. So the recap: team 21 was the Denver Broncos. 22 was the Minnesota Vikings. 23 was the Atlanta Falcons. 24 was the Miami Dolphins. 25 was the New Orleans Saints. 26 was the Cincinnati Bengals, and 27 was the Seattle Seahawks. So we're up to 1970, and that is all the teams up until 1970. And then I'll give you all the newer franchises basically next week.
That's what's up. You know, till you said that about Minnesota, I never thought about it being like not named, because other than New England being named after a region, or like, you know, Carolina, but that's North and South Carolina. So, and that's a newer team, but it never really dawned on me that, yeah, Minnesota's named after the entire state. I guess too, because Minneapolis is so similar, like in sound to it. I guess it never dawned on me till you actually said it. And I love the Saints name. That is perfect. Yeah, because like you said, yeah, because right after Halloween they do the All Saints Day with Mardi Gras and everything. And jazz, yeah, jazz is big down there. And of course, when the Saints go marching in, that was perfect for that to have been the Saints name. I don't know any other name that they could have done other than the Saints, because that's absolutely smooth with smooth as jazz with them having that name. Good stuff as always, Touchdown Tomboy. All right, so resuming with the third quarter, the current playoff seedings, as we just mentioned in the second quarter, the Tennessee Titans #1 in the AFC at the moment. And if the playoffs started today, it would be #7 Chargers at #2 Kansas City, #6 Colts at #3 Cincy, #5 New England at #4 Buffalo. So they will have to play for a third time this year. And then in the NFC, Green Bay with the #1 seed in the bye. The games will be #7 Philly at #2 LA Rams, #6 San Fran at #3 Tampa, #5 Arizona at #4 Dallas, which we just saw them play each other as well. So that will be a rematch. So Touchdown Tomboy, with this being the last week of the regular season, do you foresee any changes after these week 18 games? And if so, where and with who?
I do. The only team that I would actually change out is in the NFC. I think that the AFC is pretty stacked, but I do see the NFC changing. I actually see New Orleans and San Francisco swapping.
Really?
Reason being is because San Francisco plays the LA Rams, and I don't see them beating them again. And I would be shocked. But the fact that LA is trying to keep its seeding already, I don't see them losing to the beating the Rams again, even though they already beat them at home. I don't see them winning that again. Especially with, I don't know if Jimmy Garoppolo's health, not if Trey Lance is under center. And I'm looking at New Orleans they are playing Atlanta. So I actually see New Orleans, the Saints, beating new Atlanta more so than I see the San Francisco 49ers beating the Rams. And so I would change those two positions. Outside of that, everything else I'd keep the same.
All right, bet. So regardless of who starts at quarterback, whether it's Trey Lance, whether it's Garoppolo, you do not see San Fran beating the Rams.
I do not.
Gotcha. Of course, I have wishful thinking with this, because I mean, don't get me wrong, this is not a biased pick because I am a Steelers fan, but I just really wish, like, after I saw Ben on Monday night and how heartfelt that was, and that emotional departure, his last game at Heinz Field, they need way too much help. They have to play at Baltimore. Baltimore just lost at home on Sunday. I don't see Baltimore losing 2 back-to-back home games. And plus, Pittsburgh also needs Indy to beat Jacksonville, which is virtually impossible. But I mean, stranger things have happened. We had 70 degrees Saturday, and then we had snow on Monday. So it's not completely outlandish, but I just really don't see it happening. This is more of a desire, because I would love for Ben to get some postseason action with this, pretty much alluding to it being his last season. Of course, again, that's definitely a reach on that one. I agree with you. I really think that, pun intended, that the Saints will go marching in, just due to the fact that the San Francisco 49ers, they have a really, really, really tough matchup. This is a stout matchup. The Rams have won 5 straight. And plus, also, even though the Rams seeding probably won't get changed as much, like they're not going to get a number 1 seed, obviously, or a bye week, but they also haven't won the division. So, like, they are playing for something. They are playing for the division crown, because see, Arizona, with them beating Dallas the other day, Arizona still has a shot at the division. So the stakes are high for LA as well. And I think that they will go ahead and close San Fran out. And like you said, I don't necessarily like the personnel, and the Saints did have that 5-game losing streak, which I thought should have been the ultimate demise of their season and why they shouldn't get in. But again, like you said, they have a very favorable matchup this week. And I think that they might get the help as well from the Rams being able to beat a more desirable matchup there, with them being able to take care of San Fran. So I expect the swap as well. And again, I just have that wish and hope that Ben can somehow sneak in his last season, but I don't expect it whatsoever. All right, concluding here with the fourth quarter, T Squared. I don't know. I think you might go Mike Vrabel just because of how high you were on him in the second quarter. But nonetheless, who is your pick for the NFL Coach of the Year?
Actually, you know, I love Mike Vrabel, but he's not my pick this time. My pick is, and I think we should have saw this coming. But my pick, I'm gonna tell you right now, my pick has to be just because I'm looking at this franchise and where this franchise has come from. It's hard for me to just kind of turn my eye and be like, he don't deserve a nod, because he definitely does. And so my coach of the year is actually going to be Zach Taylor from the Cincinnati Bengals. And reason being is because I'm looking at what Cincinnati is looking like, and he just became their coach in 2019. Yeah. So when people were talking about you can't turn these teams around in 2 years, he did. Because this team has only been together 2 years. And I really, a little bit less than that, if you think about it, because you got to remember the very first year, Joe Burrow was injured. So last year he had a quarterback and they were looking decent last year. And so now that they've gotten T. Higgins and what's my guy that's catching everything now?
Jamar Chase. Yeah,
Jamar Chase. Like offensively, they look good. The defense is responding well. He has them firing on all cylinders. And they're not winning by little margins. They're winning by huge margins. And they're beating very, very good teams. They just beat the Chiefs on Sunday. So, and the Chiefs were supposed to be the bar. So when I'm looking at this, and I'm like, they're hanging with everybody, and they have a really young team. And so to me, that just gives a lot of accolades to what he's doing as a coach. And when we look at the history of the Bengals have never been that team where they win divisions. And so now we're looking at what Zach Taylor is doing as a coach. And honestly, I gotta pay him homage, and I'm just sitting up here and seeing what he's doing. He's figuring out a way for them to win. And I like Mike Vrabel. He would probably be a close second. But that was an expectations for me for Mike Vrabel, because he's been doing that consistently. But I didn't know that Cincinnati would be this good this fast. And so I'd have to give the hats off to Zach Taylor.
Gotcha. And I like the fact that the coach of the year, like, there's been times where it's like, oh, this is a unanimous pick, or like it's hands down. I do like the fact that it is kind of like a hodgepodge here. Like, there's not really a dominant, clear-cut favorite. Like, Mike Vrabel will get some nods. Of course, people are throwing Bill Belichick's name back out there, even though I would steer from him. I want some newness of it. People are even giving, I can't think of his name, but they're giving Philly's coach some nods here with this late push that they've had, because one time Philly had lost 3 straight. They're in the playoffs. So people are mentioning him, and of course my guy Matt LaFleur Eshko, my Helter Skelter voice. I'll never not call him that. Well, he's a good looking self. With how good that the Green Bay Packers are looking. But I completely concur with you. I gave the nod to my fellow Taurus, Zach Taylor, as well. And like you mentioned, this is a young team. Their coach is also young. I think he's 37, 38.
He's
So
young.
we can expect a lot from Cincinnati for the future too. And it's so refreshing to see Cincinnati do all this because, they had Marvin Lewis for a really, really, really long time. And it was kind of like the Marvin Lewis stain. I think Cincinnati might have won the division one time while Marvin Lewis was the head coach for these dozen and 13 years, or maybe even 14 or 15 years that Marvin Lewis had been there. And they went to the playoffs, but they never won the playoffs. And this time it seems a little bit different for Cincinnati. There's a lot of confidence there. There's a lot of expectation and anticipation for Cincinnati, as it should be. I think it's interesting too, like you said, with because honestly, last week I said Cincinnati could win and it didn't surprise me, but I was actually thinking the veteran leadership of your Patrick Mahomes and your Andy Reid. Yeah, exactly. Who had been to 3 AFC championship games, plus they were on this 8-game winning streak. So we were kind of like, it's possible that they could win, but at the end of the day, we kind of tilted more towards the experience. But here you get this refreshing, this new team, this group of youngsters. Again, Joe Burrow, as you alluded to, on the sidelines last year, early in the season, and Cincinnati finished with a 4-11-1 record. But then you get Joe Burrow back, and he's 100% healthy this year. You get Joe Burrow also reuniting with Jamar Chase. This is the guy he won a national championship with at LSU a couple of years ago. So they have that camaraderie. They have that familiarity. They're reunited. I mean, it's a really good time for Cincinnati. Plus, they've done the unprecedented this year. Swept my Steelers, swept Baltimore, and they put up 41 points on Baltimore both times that they played them. I think Baltimore might have scored 17 and 21 those 2 times they played them.
Like they're winning by large margins.
Yeah, definitely. These are dominant wins that they're getting. And when they beat the Chiefs the other day, that was a double-digit come from behind win as well. Of course, there was some controversy, but what game doesn't have controversy? But that was a very, very convincing win that they put up. We'll probably see those two teams again in the playoffs. Who knows? It may be a different venue and it may be a different results or whatever. But this is a hot Cincinnati team here. So based off of the vast difference of improvement in that 1-year swing, like you said, people think like, oh, it takes a while for this to happen. And he's done it in record time. And who knows, had Joe Burrow not gotten hurt last year, we might have also still seen a lot more promise from Cincinnati. But nonetheless, here they are, won the division. This is also a Cincinnati team who last year, the other 3 counterparts in the division, Cleveland went to the playoffs, Baltimore went to the playoffs, Pittsburgh went to the playoffs, and they were the only team out. My goodness, the roles have reversed this year. Like Cincinnati is the lone team in the playoffs right now. Pittsburgh needs help. Baltimore needs help. Cleveland's already not in it. I mean, so yeah, Cincinnati could be the only one from the AFC North that gets in there. So my goodness, what a difference a year makes for them. And I totally agree. I think it should be my fellow Taurus, Zach Taylor, to win the Coach of the Year as well. So I totally agree with you on that. Now on to overtime with our picks of the week, the last week of regular season as we head into the playoffs. Interesting dynamic this week. There's no Thursday games. There's no Monday games. And bearing no COVID issues, there won't be any Tuesday night games this week either. But we do have 2 games on Saturday night as well. So we had that back at Christmas as well. But yeah, back to the 2 games on Saturday night. And of course, everybody, all 16 games on the slate are all division games. I love it when it ends like that at the end of the year. So here we go. Kansas City at Denver, the first Saturday game. Touchdown time, boy, who you like?
Kansas City.
Definitely Kansas City. Of course, Denver, another emotional game. They've already dealt with the losses of Demaryius Thomas, Dan Reeves, and now, of course, their defensive coordinator who got them Super Bowls back during the John Elway days. Robinson, now he's deceased as well. It's just a really emotional time for Denver to have to play these games like this. And then, Kansas City, the way their 8-game winning streak was snapped last week and they blew a double-digit lead. Yeah, I think that Kansas City will get their face back this week as well. The primetime game on Saturday night, Dallas at Philly, T-Squared. Who you like?
I'm rolling with Philly on this one.
Yeah, Michael Parsons is entered into the COVID protocol. He will not be playing on Sunday.
But I already, prior to Michael being in there, I told you I felt strong about Philly.
Right. And see, Philly scared me last week because they only won 20-6. That's what I was scared of. But you know, we saw Dallas. Dallas was discombobulated last week.
Yeah,
too.
Dallas and looking like the same Dallas. Dallas is starting to do some Dallas type things. And that's why I'm feeling really, and I told you that some weeks ago that I was very confident that this Philly team that I'm seeing now is gonna beat Dallas. And Dallas is playing in Philly. So Dallas don't go on the road and play well. So I'm telling you,
they don't play well
I
at
was
home
strong
either.
about it some weeks ago. I'm much stronger about it now that Micah's probably not gonna play. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Because his 5 days would go from his 0 day now, which would be what today. So that'd be Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So yeah, so his 5 days would be up to Monday.
Saturday. They play Saturday, not Sunday. So yeah,
right. So yeah, so that's it. So and they I'm definitely giving that to Philly.
I like Philly too. This is Dallas though. They always, the end of the season, they always start to fumble. Literally, this is not, you do not want to go into the playoffs like this right now. And yeah, I'm sold up on Philly on this one as well. All right, Cincinnati at Cleveland. We just got through talking about Cincinnati and their potential coach of the year, Jack Tatum.
I don't know. And the reason why I say I don't know is because they've already shored up the division, so they know they're going regardless. So he may rest his starters this week. So I think it depends. If he rests his starters, then of course I think Cleveland will get the nod. But if he plays them, then I'll have to go with the Bengals. Like if Joe Burrow and those guys play, if he doesn't rest his starters, then I'll go with them.
They already said Joe Burrow's not playing, and then Joe Mixon, and there's quite a few others on the COVID protocol list too.
Right. So I'll give that to Cleveland.
Yeah, I like Cleveland on this one too. Like at some point, you guys have to have some more pride here. I mean, you know, there was one time where Mayfield had 10 incompletions that Monday night game against the Steelers the other night, and I think he got sacked like 6 times. Like, you have to regroup. Like, come on, you got to get it together here, and you're at home, the finale for the season. Play with some pride, guys. So yeah, I think Cleveland will be fine on this one too. Green Bay at Detroit. Now, Aaron Rodgers wants to play. Like, he's demanding, like, let me get out there. He wants to play, but it looks like he's probably not, based off of, you know, a healthy scratch here and the fact that they've sold up the number 1 seed pretty much.
So if the number 1 seed, they're going to have that number 1 seed regardless, right? Because Tampa lost again, right? So they were going to have that regardless. So in this particular game, I guess I'm going to get a scratch to Detroit.
Yeah, me too, because we saw Jordan Lamb against Kansas City earlier this season, and it wasn't looking very promising. Yeah, I like Detroit on this one too. They've been very competitive in a lot of their games. Chicago at Minnesota. Now, this is a game where both coaches, this might be their last time. We might see the end of the Matt Nagy era. And we also, the talks are Mike Zimmerman might get fired Monday morning as well. So, Touchdown Time, who are you liking this possible coaches finale?
Who they're playing Matt Nagy. Oh, so let me tell you, I'm very disappointed in Mike Zimmer, because Mike Zimmer had the opportunity. He went and played, what's that guy, McMahon, whatever his name is, Brandon McMahon. And he could have played Kellen Mond. And I felt like Kellen Mond probably would have done better under center than McMahon. But he opted not to. Why? I don't know. That's strange to me. So for me, I'm gonna go with I'm gonna still go with the Bears though. I think the Bears are feeling themselves. Last week they played well. A couple games they played well. So I'm gonna go with the Bears.
This of course is the second season a promising Minnesota team has missed the playoffs, second year in a row. Especially with the way Kirk Cousins had started so well, it's really disappointing to see how they're ending here. But Minnesota's a different team at home. So that will probably be the only reason why I give them the edge. Again, they got to play with some pride here at the end of the day. So I think Minnesota might pull this one out, but I would not be surprised if it is the Bears. Washington at the Giants.
Washington.
I like Washington too. Just too much quarterback issues with the Giants, and Sterling Shepard's in the news because him and his wife of almost 4 years, they're getting a divorce. And I was just thinking, like, shoot, she probably tired of her husband not going to the playoffs. I mean, at this point, Giants, they have missed the playoffs, what, 5 years in a row now, looks like. So this is a team just in bad shape all the way around. And I think Washington might be just fine in this game on this one. All right, the Colts at the Jags.
The Colts.
Yeah, I need the Jags to win, and I want them to win. Again, that's personal, but I just don't see it happening. Realistically, I think Indy will be just fine.
And the Colts have to win that game to keep their seed.
Yeah, that's true. It is. Yeah, because they lost last week. So you're right, definitely. All right, Pittsburgh at Baltimore.
I'm gonna give this game to Baltimore because Baltimore should have won the game last week.
Yeah, they should have beat the Rams.
How they gave that away ain't quite figured it out yet, but they should have won that last week. So I'm gonna give it to Baltimore. I know that it's Ben's last hurrah, but I'm still giving it Baltimore's a different team at home.
They are, and like even though they lost at home, and I'm surprised that they didn't. I really don't see them losing 2 games at home back to back. Again, my desire is I want Pittsburgh to win, but just statistically, no, I don't see Baltimore losing.
And is Jackson still out? Is Lamar still out?
I don't think he's going to be playing. I haven't heard anything yet, but I don't think he'll be playing. They're probably not because they also Baltimore, in addition to winning, they also need Indy to lose. So the it's not favorable for them either. I don't think that they will risk it. So, but I still like Baltimore in this one anyway. Tennessee at Houston.
They don't have nothing else to play for, so I don't see Tennessee. Have they locked up that number 1 seed?
No, they have not locked up the number 1 seed. Have they locked up the division? I don't think they locked up the division either. Because
they did because when the Colts lost last week, that should have locked it up, right?
Okay. So, but the spot switched because Kansas City was the number 1 seed till they lost. So they haven't locked the number 1 seed then.
Right.
It could flip flop again.
So they have to play. So they playing for all the marbles. So I see them winning that game.
Yeah, I think Tennessee will be fine and win that game as well. All right, New Orleans at Atlanta. This is the game you already said that you think New Orleans
winning that game.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, this would be interesting if after losing 5 straight, if they can back their way into the playoffs and getting this win and the loss from San Francisco. That would be crazy. The Jets at Buffalo. I think that division is still up for grabs. I don't think Buffalo or New England has won that division yet.
So here's
just playoff spots have been clinched. Yeah, only playoff spots have been clinched.
The Jets are going to Buffalo.
Yes.
I don't know. The Jets have been this team the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, they've been monkey wrenching some stuff.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I still like Buffalo in this because they have not won the division. And most likely, like right now, if the playoffs started, New England and Buffalo would have to play again. The game would be at Buffalo to where it could easily flip-flop if they lost and New England won. So
okay, yeah, I guess, but I don't know. The Jets have been Buffalo. They've been turning some stuff up now. So I'm gonna give it to Buffalo this time, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets don't throw a monkey wrench in that wheel.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either, especially with the division. You know how with division games, it's always wide open regardless of what the records say. All right, San Fran at the Rams. We both already talked about we like the Rams.
I'm picking the Rams.
Regardless of the quarterback. All right, New England at Miami.
I'm going with Miami. Miami's trying to spoil something. Miami.
Yeah, they got knocked out of the playoffs last year, but I think they'll try to be spoilers. Plus, the history of New England coming to Miami at the end of the season, that was a struggle Tom Brady had because I think Tom Brady's below 500 in Miami when they play late in the season because he can't handle the humidity. Now, of course,
and here's the thing that's going to be interesting is, they play this cover 0 and Mac Jones has not been good throwing the ball. They've been pretty much running the ball very well, but Mac Jones has not been good throwing the ball. So it's going to be interesting to see what he looks like under center when they play cover 0.
Yeah, with Miami might be playing a little bit pissed because they're not in the playoffs because of that loss last week. Even though they had that 7-game straight winning streak and they had a possibility, but yeah, maybe they might want to pop a pin on New England's chances of getting the division title. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. All right, Seattle at Arizona might be our last time seeing Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson together. Who you like?
Arizona has to win because Arizona has just lost so many times. So I'm gonna pick Arizona.
Yeah, especially because that division is still wide open. Now, if Arizona and LA wins, I don't know who wins the division, but I do know that if Arizona wants a chance to win the division, they definitely have to win. And the way they played Dallas last week was impressive to me, and I think they'll be fine taking care of Seattle.
I think Arizona wins because Arizona won the head-to-head, I think.
Oh, gotcha. That's a good point. Gotcha. Carolina at Tampa.
Tampa.
I actually like Carolina in this one because it's the last game of the season. Matt Rule's in the news for possibly getting fired. And the fact that Tampa is so distracted right now with all this AB stuff and then all the other injuries that they have, they cannot get the number 1 seed. I just don't know. I think this is a good time that Carolina might catch Tampa slipping. So I like Carolina on this one.
I'm going with Tampa. I'm going with Tampa because if Carolina can find a way to lose, they'll find it. I think that we are just the most drama-filled organization right now on all fronts. And we're playing Pee Wee League with a Pee Wee coach, and that's just where we are. So I'm going to pick Tampa.
Pick Tampa, gotcha. But those your boys. I understand where your heart lies with that one. You would know. Chargers that lost at the Raiders. That's the Sunday night game. Chargers at Raiders. Now this is interesting because whoever wins this game gets into the playoffs.
The Chargers are playing at the Raiders.
At the Raiders. And the Raiders, of course, in the news again for another DUI. Another player with DUI.
Who had a DUI this time?
Oh my gosh. Another young, I gotta go back and look it up, but they found them sleep in the car. And the fact that when they tested him, it was like, okay, so obviously you have been driving under the influence, but they found them sleep in the car under the he was under.
Oh, he got it because he was under the wheel, even though he was asleep.
Even though he was asleep, but yeah, when his alcohol, obviously he had been driving intoxicated, even though they found him asleep. But yeah, I cannot remember the play. I posted it, young guy again, and so yeah, I think it might have been Tuesday. Monday or Tuesday.
It's hard because you gotta think about Vegas is a party city, so I'm just surprised. Like it's ridiculous.
It is, but then it's like there's a hockey team out there too, and they're a lot more disciplined. That it's a party city for them too, and they've gone to the Stanley Cup Finals, and they still don't have these issues. Where the Raiders are struggling to get in the playoffs.
Somebody Hobbs.
Yes, that's his name.
Nate Hobbs. He was a nickel cornerback.
Oh, cornerback. I thought it was receiver. Yeah, but so this is what the Raiders have become. Known more like this whole season has been more off-field stuff with the coach and Henry Ruggs, and it's just unbelievable.
So here's my thing. I'm gonna root for the Raiders, and let me tell you why. I don't know what it is about Derek Carr. This man has just fought through so much.
I know.
I love Derek Carr. And I feel like no matter how bad it is, he always has a good attitude about it. He just figures out how to play through it. So I'm gonna root for the Raiders. My hope is that it's the Raiders. Okay.
I'm rooting for the Raiders too, because you already know how I feel about the Chargers with that coaching favoritism.
That's what Anthony Lynn.
Yeah, but I love Derek Carr too. I mean, Derek Carr, the way he stood by Henry Ruggs the same way Brady has been sticking up for Antonio Brown and just wanting people to show compassion. Like, he's really a good guy. It's hard for me to root against Derek Carr. And who knows, this might be his last stint with the Raiders too. So I would like for him to go out on a bang, do it for John Madden, all that good stuff. So yeah, I'm rooting for the Raiders too. Well, it's going to be an interesting weekend of football here. It's a make or break for a lot of these teams. You know, some teams, they're going to be going home, and this might be their last game that they play with these teams for the season. Lots at stake here. Division titles up for grabs, positioning in the playoffs up for grabs. But yeah, we got a doozy coming up nonetheless. T Square, any shout outs or anything you got for this week? Just ready for another exciting week of football?
Yeah, buddy, I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think it's
first
gonna
week.
I think it's gonna snow again soon because this weather has been so crazy. But
Definitely.
other than that, I'm just ready for, just the football, man. I just hope everybody's had a prosperous new year, and that everybody gonna keep grinding and keep moving forward, man. And that's just where I'm at with it. But I'm excited, man. We got one more week. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
I know, right? Gosh, because the playoffs, you're gonna get less and less games, and
I know.
you win or go home. The stakes are high. So yeah, it's crazy how fast the year went.
I
Football
know.
season. Definitely.
I know.
Totally agree with you on that. All right. So for this episode of WTF2 for Touchdown Tomboy, Gridiron Goddess, we appreciate you guys, and we're out. We'll catch you next week.